The discipline of silence. Silence is not weakness. Silence is not passivity. Silence is discipline. It's the refusal to waste energy on chatter when you could be investing that same energy into building something that speaks louder than words ever could. In a world obsessed with showing, telling, posting, and broadcasting every single move, silence has become a superpower. When you learn the discipline of silence, you learn to shift from seeking validation to seeking results, from making noise to making progress, from announcing potential to demonstrating proof. Most people fail, not because they lack talent, but because they lack the ability to keep quiet long enough to actually finish what they started. They get so addicted to telling others about their goals that they substitute conversation for execution. They announce on social media what they're going to do instead of actually doing it. They waste hours arguing about dreams instead of spending hours working toward them. Silence breaks that cycle. Silence forces you to put the work above the applause. See, silence builds strength because it eliminates distraction. When you tell everybody your plans, you invite unnecessary voices into your life, voices of doubt, envy, discouragement, and distraction. Some people don't want to see you win. Some people only want information to criticize you or sabotage you. The discipline of silence protects you from that. It allows you to stay focused on the mission without the weight of other people's opinions. Let me be clear, silence is not about hiding, it's about alignment. It's about aligning your energy with your execution. It's about taking the talk you were going to spill out to the world and converting it into action steps that nobody sees until the results show up. Imagine a farmer planting seeds. He doesn't run to every neighbor bragging about the crop he's going to grow. No, he digs, plants, waters, and waits. For months, it looks like nothing is happening. But underground, life is being formed. Then, in time, the harvest appears. That's silence. That's the discipline of planting and protecting your seeds until it's time for the world to see the harvest. Another reason silence is so powerful is that it builds patience. And patience is where most people fail. They want the reward immediately, so they broadcast everything, hoping for instant validation. But validation doesn't equal value. Applause doesn't equal achievement. Patience teaches you to delay recognition until you've earned it. It trains you to be okay with not being seen for a season because you're building something that will be undeniable in the future. There's also a psychological dimension to silence. When you announce your goals, your brain gets a dopamine hit. You feel good as if you already accomplished something. But in reality, you've done nothing. That's why many people live in a cycle of declarations without results. Silence breaks that trap. When you keep quiet, the only reward you get is from doing the work. You shift from seeking external applause to cultivating internal accountability. Silence also magnifies your power. Think about the most disciplined individuals, athletes, entrepreneurs, leaders. The ones who truly dominate are not the ones talking the most. They're the ones working the most. Their silence intimidates because silence is mysterious. When you're silent, people can't predict you, can't track you, can't measure what you're building. Silence keeps your enemies guessing. And when the results show up, they don't know how you did it because you gave them nothing to prepare for. Now, silence doesn't mean isolation. You need mentors, accountability partners, and trusted circles. But it does mean you stop casting your pearls before swine. You stop giving your vision to people who don't value it. You stop opening your mouth to people who have no investment in your success. Silence means guarding your dreams like treasure until they are strong enough to stand on their own. Think about history. The great builders didn't spend all their time giving speeches about what they were going to do. They spent their time in the dark, in the grind, in the labor. And when the world saw what they built, it was undeniable. That's why silence shocks people, because they weren't watching your process. They only saw your result. And results speak louder than any motivational words ever could. There's also something deeply spiritual about silence. When you stop running your mouth, you create space to hear. You hear your own thoughts more clearly. You hear wisdom more clearly. You hear guidance that gets drowned out by noise. Most people can't hear direction because they're too busy speaking. Silence creates clarity, and clarity accelerates success. Let me ask you, what's louder? The man who talks about writing a book for 10 years or the man who publishes it and puts it in people's hands? What's louder? The person who talks every day about starting a business or the person who quietly launches and suddenly dominates the market? What's louder? The noise of potential or the silence of actual success? You already know the answer. Success speaks for itself. The discipline of silence is also a test of your maturity. Can you resist the urge to prove yourself before the work is done? Can you resist the temptation to announce every move? Can you stay hidden in preparation until it's time for revelation? Immature people crave attention in the process. Mature people crave results at the end, and maturity always wins. Understand this silence doesn't weaken your light, it strengthens it. Because when you stop talking, you start working. When you stop announcing, you start building. When you stop chasing applause, you start chasing mastery. And mastery is magnetic. People respect results more than words. They admire achievement more than announcements. So here's the call. Discipline yourself to silence. Stop leaking energy. Stop inviting unnecessary opinions. Stop trading execution for empty talk. Build in the dark. Work in silence. Protect your vision. And when the time comes, let your success speak in a voice louder than anything you could have ever announced. Because in the end, silence is not the absence of sound, it's the presence of focus. And focus is what separates dreamers from achievers, talkers from builders, noisemakers from legacy makers. The discipline of silence is the foundation of greatness. Protecting your energy from noise and doubt. One of the greatest reasons why working in silence is so powerful is because it protects your energy. Energy is your most valuable resource, far more valuable than money, far more valuable than time, because without energy, you can't use your time effectively and you can't create the money you desire. Yet most people leak energy every single day by engaging with noise and doubt. Noise comes from the outside. Doubt comes from the inside. If you don't learn how to protect yourself from both, you will constantly find yourself drained, distracted, and discouraged before you've even made progress. Let's start with the external noise. The world today is louder than ever. Social media screams at you to compare yourself with others. News cycles bombard you with fear and negativity. Friends and family, even unintentionally, can fill your ears with reasons why your dreams are impossible. Every voice you listen to influences your mindset, and your mindset shapes your results. If you spend your time absorbing noise, you will begin to believe the lies hidden inside it. Lies like, you're not good enough, you're too late, somebody else already did it, you don't have the resources. These voices don't reflect your reality, they reflect the limits of other people's imagination. But if you're not disciplined, you'll adopt their limits as your own. That's why silence matters. Silence creates a barrier between your vision and their voices. Here's a truth. Most people project their own insecurities onto you. If they gave up on their dreams, they'll try to convince you to give up on yours. If they settled for mediocrity, they'll try to shame you for pursuing greatness. If they lack discipline, they'll mock your consistency. That's not about you, it's about them. But if you allow their noise to penetrate your spirit, you'll start living by their script instead of writing your own. Now let's talk about internal doubt. This one is even more dangerous because you can't escape yourself. The enemy within is often louder than the enemy outside. Doubt whispers in your ear, what if you fail? What if you embarrass yourself? What if you're not really capable? And if you give doubt a microphone, it will shout louder than your faith. But silence is the antidote. When you choose silence, you choose to stop feeding doubt with endless chatter. You choose to replace anxious words with focused work. Doubt thrives on inactivity. The longer you sit and talk about what you might do, the louder doubt becomes. But when you start moving, when you start executing, when you start building, doubt loses its grip because results begin to silence it. Think about this. Every minute you waste explaining yourself to people who don't believe in you, you drain energy that could have gone into proving them wrong. Every hour you spend arguing with critics is an hour you could have spent sharpening your craft. Every day you waste battling noise is a day you could have invested in mastery. Silence flips the equation. It tells your critics nothing. It tells your doubts nothing. Instead, it tells your work everything. Protecting your energy also means guarding your environment. If you constantly surround yourself with people who gossip, complain, and quit, don't be surprised when you feel weak. Energy is contagious. If you stay in a room full of doubters, you'll inhale their doubt like secondhand smoke. But if you guard your circle, if you choose to walk with people of vision, if you invest your silence into environments that strengthen you, your energy multiplies. This is why so many successful people withdraw from crowds. Not because they're antisocial, but because they're intentional. They know that the wrong voices can destroy the right vision. They know that every conversation costs energy. And they know that their mission requires more energy than they can afford to waste. Let me give you a principle. Stop explaining, start executing. Every time you feel the urge to explain your dream to someone who doesn't understand, catch yourself. Remind yourself, I don't need their validation, I need my execution. Because in the end, no amount of explanation will convince someone who has already decided not to believe in you. The only thing that convinces them is results. And results require energy. Protecting your energy also means learning how to rest. Silence is not just about being quiet externally, it's about quieting your soul internally. Many people are so busy, so noisy in their own minds that they never allow themselves to recharge. Rest is not laziness. Rest is strategy. If your phone dies, you don't call it lazy, you plug it in. The same applies to you. Silence can be the recharge that keeps your energy flowing for the long haul. Here's another truth. Working in silence builds resilience. Because when you stop running to others for approval, you learn to fuel yourself. You develop inner strength. You learn to keep going even when nobody claps for you. That's real power, the ability to move forward without applause. Because if you only move when people cheer, you'll quit the moment they go silent. But when you learn to move in silence, nothing can stop you because you've already detached from their noise. Protecting your energy also means recognizing seasons. There will be times when you are in preparation, hidden from the spotlight, where it feels like nothing is happening. But those are the seasons where your roots are growing deep. If you're too eager to show fruit before the roots are strong, you'll collapse under the weight of what you're trying to build. Silence ensures that your roots are solid before the world sees your branches. Let me leave you with this. Your energy is the fuel for your destiny. Don't give it away cheaply. Don't waste it on arguments, on noise, on trying to convince people who don't matter. Don't drain it by feeding doubt with endless self-talk. Protect it. Guard it. Invest it in the work that matters most. Because when you protect your energy, you protect your future. And when you work hard in silence, the results will shock everyone, not because you shouted, but because you showed up with undeniable proof. The element of surprise, why success hits harder when it's unexpected. There is a unique power in success that nobody sees coming. It's the shock factor, it's the surprise. It's the moment when people who doubted you, ignored you, or dismissed you suddenly realize that you've become someone they can no longer overlook. That element of surprise is only possible when you've been working in silence, when you've been building without broadcasting, when you've been preparing behind the scenes while others assumed you were stagnant. Why does success hit harder when it's unexpected? Because the human mind naturally underestimates what it cannot see. People tend to measure you by your current circumstances, not by your potential. If they don't see progress, they assume you're stuck. If they don't see movement, they assume you've given up. They place limits on you based on what they think they know. But while they're underestimating you, you're quietly preparing to exceed every expectation. Think about a seed. When it is buried underground, there's no visible sign of life. Someone walking past the soil might assume nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, the seed is breaking, roots are growing, and the foundation of a future tree is forming. By the time that seed breaks through the ground, it doesn't just appear, it shocks the observer, because all along they thought it was nothing but dirt. That is what happens when you commit to working in silence. Your process is invisible, your preparation is hidden, and people misjudge you because they don't see what's going on. But the day your breakthrough comes, it doesn't whisper, it announces itself with undeniable evidence. And the shock is greater because nobody expected it. The element of surprise also protects you. If you broadcast every move, you invite resistance too early. When enemies see your plans, they prepare to block them. When doubters see your vision, they strategize to discourage you. When competitors see your path, they attempt to copy or sabotage you. But when you move in silence, you disarm them. They can't fight what they can't predict. They can't attack what they can't see. They can't stop what they don't know is coming. Surprise is a strategic weapon. In business, in leadership, in personal growth, the most powerful victories often come from being underestimated. While others are loud about intentions but weak in execution, you remain quiet but consistent. While they're announcing every small step for validation, you're building the foundation for a leap so big they can't ignore it. And when the moment arrives, the contrast between their expectations and your results creates impact. The surprise also magnifies your influence. People pay more attention when they're shocked. If they expect you to succeed, they applaud politely. But if they never saw it coming, their attention intensifies. They start asking, how did you do it? When did this happen? Where were you hiding this ability? The very people who doubted you become witnesses to your growth. Some will even become students of your process. That's the paradox. The same voices that laughed at you yesterday will study you tomorrow when your results force them to take you seriously. And let's not forget the personal side of surprise. The element of surprise isn't just for them, it's for you too. Because there's nothing more rewarding than walking silently with your vision and then stepping into a reality that proves your silence was worth it. When you surprise others with your success, you also surprise yourself with the realization of how far you've come. It reinforces your confidence, it validates your discipline, and it makes every quiet sacrifice feel worthwhile. But remember, the element of surprise doesn't happen by accident. It's not about luck, it's about preparation. The only reason surprise works is because you've been consistent when nobody was watching. You've been building skills in the dark. You've been saving resources when others were spending. You've been training while others were sleeping. You've been practicing while others were partying. By the time they notice, you're already so far ahead that catching up is impossible. Here's the truth. The most dangerous person in the room is not the one who brags the loudest. It's the one nobody is watching. The quiet worker, the silent grinder, the person who doesn't need applause to keep going. Because when that person finally reveals what they've been building, it's unstoppable. Let's go deeper. Surprise amplifies credibility. Think about the underdog stories that inspire the world. Why do they resonate so deeply? Because nobody expected the victory. Nobody expected the ordinary kid to become extraordinary. Nobody expected the quiet worker to rise to the top. And when it happens, it's unforgettable. You remember the surprise longer than the success itself. That's why people talk about overnight successes, even though those successes were years in the making. The overnight part is an illusion. The surprise is what makes it feel sudden. Silence creates the illusion of absence, but in reality, it is presence in preparation. And when you emerge from silence with undeniable success, you rewrite the narrative. They thought you were absent. They thought you were doing nothing, but you were doing everything that mattered, just out of their sight. And now that your results are visible, they realize they underestimated you at their own expense. Here's the strategy. Don't aim to shock people with your words. Shock them with your work. Don't tell them what you're going to do. Show them what you've already done. Don't argue with doubters. Let your results argue for you. Because nothing silences noise like undeniable evidence. This also ties to humility. Working in silence means you're not motivated by showing off. You're motivated by transformation. Your goal isn't to rub your success in someone's face. It's to fulfill the purpose planted in your spirit. The shock is simply a byproduct of your focus. But the beauty is that shock often inspires others to believe in their own possibility. When people see your unexpected success, it awakens them to the idea that they too can rise beyond what others expect of them. So understand this. The element of surprise isn't just about ego, it's about impact. Your silence today sets the stage for influence tomorrow. Your hidden preparation sets the foundation for public transformation. And the moment of surprise is the turning point where doubt turns into respect, disbelief turns into faith, and obscurity turns into influence. When you work hard in silence, you are setting up a reveal that speaks louder than 1,000 words ever could. And when that moment comes, your success won't just be noticed, it will be felt. It will shock them. It will silence them. And it will remind you that the quiet years were never wasted. They were the most powerful investment you could have made. The discipline of silent progress. There's a reason most people never master the art of working in silence. It's not because they lack ambition, it's because they lack discipline. Discipline is the engine that drives silent progress. It's the fuel that allows you to keep showing up, keep grinding, keep building, even when there's no applause, no recognition, no validation, and no external reward. Without discipline, silence feels empty. But with discipline, silence becomes fertile ground where greatness takes root. You see, progress made in silence doesn't happen overnight. It's the accumulation of small, often unseen actions repeated with consistency. That means you can't rely on bursts of motivation alone. Motivation is like a spark. It ignites quickly but burns out just as fast. Discipline is the steady flame that keeps the fire going long after the spark has faded. If you want silent progress, you have to build habits that don't depend on how you feel in the moment. Discipline means waking up early to prepare while others are still sleeping. It means studying the material no one else wants to touch. It means investing your money wisely while others are wasting theirs on fleeting pleasures. It means training your body, sharpening your mind, and elevating your spirit when no one is watching. And the beauty is, every time you make a disciplined decision in silence, you are compounding your future results. Think about the power of compounding. A single drop of water looks insignificant, but drop after drop fills a bucket. A single workout doesn't transform your body, but consistent training over months reshapes you completely. A single saved dollar won't change your financial destiny, but disciplined saving and investing multiplies into wealth. The same principle applies to your life. Silent progress looks small day to day, but discipline multiplies it into transformation over time. Here's the challenge. Discipline requires sacrifice. To work in silence, you must be willing to give up the things that drain you. That means cutting out distractions. That means saying no to toxic people who waste your energy. That means turning down invitations that don't align with your vision. That means ignoring the temptation to broadcast your every move on social media just to feel validated. Silence requires you to be focused, and focus requires discipline. The discipline of silent progress is not glamorous. It's lonely at times. It's repetitive. It's boring to the undisciplined eye. People won't cheer for you while you're practicing the basics. Nobody applauds when you're staying up late to study. Nobody celebrates when you decline a night out to save money. Nobody congratulates you for eating clean or exercising when you don't feel like it. But that's the point. You're not doing it for them. You're doing it for the version of yourself that is waiting on the other side of consistency. And let me tell you this, discipline is freedom. At first glance, discipline feels restrictive. It feels like rules, structure, limitations. But when you look deeper, discipline is the very thing that sets you free. The person who disciplines their money is free from debt. The person who disciplines their body is free from sickness. The person who disciplines their mind is free from confusion. The person who disciplines their spirit is free from fear. Silence plus discipline is the formula for freedom that most people overlook because they're too busy chasing attention. Here's where most people fail. They break their discipline because they don't see immediate results. They want instant gratification. They want the applause now, the reward now, the outcome now. But silent progress doesn't work that way. It takes time for roots to grow. It takes time for habits to compound. It takes time for unseen work to bear visible fruit. That's why you must discipline not only your actions but also your patience. You must train yourself to keep going when the evidence hasn't shown up yet. Imagine a construction crew building the foundation of a skyscraper. For months, it looks like nothing is happening. All the work is underground, unseen, unnoticed. People walking by might even laugh and say they've been digging forever and there's nothing to show for it. But once the foundation is finished, the building starts rising fast. Suddenly, what looked like stagnation reveals itself as preparation. That's what disciplined, silent progress looks like in your life. Others might laugh at your lack of results, but when the foundation is ready, you'll rise so fast they won't believe it. Discipline also protects you from noise. When you train yourself to keep going regardless of external applause or criticism, you become unstoppable. You don't need likes or comments to validate your effort. You don't need recognition to stay consistent. You don't need the world to see your progress because you've already built the habit of moving forward without their approval. That's power. That's freedom. That's what allows you to succeed where others quit. But discipline in silence is not just about doing the work, it's also about guarding your mind. Silent progress requires mental toughness. It means shutting down negative self-talk that whispers, "Nobody sees what you're doing, so what's the point?" It means silencing the inner critic that says, "You're wasting your time." It means rejecting the lie that small steps don't matter. The disciplined mind knows that small steps taken in silence today are the bricks of tomorrow's empire. You also need emotional discipline. Working in silence will test your patience, your resilience, and your ability to endure loneliness. There will be days when you feel invisible, when the temptation to quit feels overwhelming, when you crave acknowledgement just to remind yourself that you matter. But emotional discipline reminds you that your worth is not tied to applause. It's tied to purpose. And as long as you are aligned with your purpose, the silence is not empty, it's sacred. Let me make this clear. Silent progress doesn't mean passive waiting. It's active building. It's intentional preparation. It's structured consistency. It's choosing to plant seeds every day, even when no one else knows you're farming. And when the harvest comes, people will call it sudden success, but you'll know the truth. It was disciplined silence all along. And here's the reward. The day will come when you reveal the results of your discipline, and people will say, "You're so lucky." They'll think it happened overnight. They'll assume you just stumbled into it. But you'll smile, because you know luck had nothing to do with it. It was silent discipline, day after day, sacrifice after sacrifice, decision after decision. So embrace the discipline of silent progress. Don't despise the small steps. Don't resent the unseen work. Don't crave recognition in the process. Focus on discipline, because discipline is what turns silence into transformation. And when the transformation is finally visible, you won't need to say a word. The results will speak louder than any explanation ever could. The loud results of silent effort. There is something unstoppable about results. Words can be doubted. Promises can be ignored. Dreams can be mocked. But results, they are undeniable. Results are loud. Results silence critics. Results command respect even from those who never believed in you. And the loudest results are the ones that were born in silence, nurtured by discipline, and revealed at the right time. When you work hard in silence, you are building a future that will one day shout on your behalf. You don't need to argue with the doubters because your results will argue louder. You don't need to clap back at the haters because your results will silence them without you lifting a finger. You don't need to broadcast your journey because when the fruit of your labor shows up, it will broadcast itself to everyone who doubted, ignored, or underestimated you. This is why silent effort is so powerful. Because when the results come, they hit different. They carry weight. They carry credibility. They carry evidence. Anyone can talk about what they're about to do. Few can stay consistent long enough to produce something worth noticing. And when you finally reveal what silence has been hiding, your results don't just show progress, they show proof. Proof that sacrifice pays off. Proof that consistency compounds. Proof that working in the dark produces light. The loud results of silent effort are also long-lasting. You see, noise without results fades quickly. Someone can talk a big game, post flashy pictures, brag about goals, but if there's no substance, people move on. But real results hold attention. They can't be dismissed because they're tangible. They exist in reality, not just in imagination. That's why people who work silently often create results that stand the test of time, while those who chase attention burn out before their work matures. But here's the deeper truth. Loud results aren't just about shocking others. They're about transforming you. The discipline of working in silence changes your character. It develops patience, resilience, humility, and strength. By the time your results are visible, you're not just celebrating external success, you've already built internal greatness. You've become the kind of person who doesn't need external validation to keep moving forward. And that's the kind of person who cannot be stopped. Let's paint the picture. Imagine two paths. On the first path, someone is loud from the start. They tell everyone what they're doing, they chase validation, they seek applause at every step. They might get attention for a moment, but when the spotlight fades, they're left with little to show. On the second path, someone works quietly. They plant seeds without broadcasting. They nurture their vision in silence. For a while, nobody sees anything. But when the results come, they are undeniable, strong, rooted, and abundant. Which path do you want to be on? Results also carry influence. People listen to results. They respect results. They follow results. If you want to inspire others, don't just tell them what's possible, show them with your life. When you transform yourself through silent work, your very existence becomes a testimony. People will say, if they can do it, maybe I can too. Your results will become the fuel for someone else's belief. And that influence lasts far longer than any speech or social media post. But let's not overlook the spiritual side of this. Silent effort honors the process. It respects timing. It acknowledges that everything worth building requires patience. And when you trust the process enough to stay silent until the fruit is ready, you position yourself to receive results that are not just loud, they're divine. Results that align with purpose. Results that open doors no man can shut. Results that elevate you to places no critic can drag you down from. And here's what makes those results even sweeter. They are undeniable even to the people who tried to block you. Think about it. Some folks don't just doubt you, they actively root against you. They want you to fail. They hope you quit. They want to point at your silence and call it defeat. But when your results show up, even they can't deny it. They may never celebrate you, but they'll have to respect you because results don't lie. Now understand this. The loudness of your results doesn't come from arrogance, it comes from visibility. When you achieve something great, it shines so bright it can't be hidden. It inspires, it challenges, it shakes people awake. You don't have to scream about your success, it speaks for itself. That's why the best revenge, the best response, the best answer to every critic is not words, it's results. But there's also a warning here. Don't let loud results tempt you to return to noise-driven living. The moment your success becomes visible, people will try to pull you back into the trap of external validation. They'll want you to prove yourself over and over. They'll push you to perform for their applause. Resist that. Remember where your results came from. Silence, discipline, consistency. If you abandon those roots, your results will fade. Stay grounded in the same principles that got you there. The loud results of silent effort also create momentum. Success breeds success. Once you see what discipline in silence can produce, you gain confidence to apply it to other areas of your life. You realize, if I can do this here, I can do it anywhere. That mindset transforms you from someone chasing success into someone creating it repeatedly, and that kind of momentum is unstoppable. So don't despise the silence. Don't get restless in the process. Don't crave attention too early. Work hard, stay quiet, be disciplined, and trust that the day will come when your results will speak so loudly that nobody can ignore them. And when that day comes, you won't need to explain yourself. You won't need to justify your sacrifices. You won't need to defend your decisions, because the results will do the talking. In the end, the loud results of silent effort are the ultimate shock. They're the reward for discipline. They're the evidence of purpose. They're the proof that silence is not weakness, it's strategy. And when your results finally reveal themselves, the same world that overlooked you will be forced to see you, not because you shouted, not because you demanded attention, but because your results left them no choice.